was recently asked a question by an agent, and I thought it was rather intriguing, so I wanted to share it with you. Welcome to the Real Estate Minute. What the agent said was she was working with a buyer client, picked out a selection of homes to show the client, showed them, and then the client decided a few days later that they wanted to place an offer on one of the properties. So she printed out the listing, printout, and let's say for the sake of this discussion that the co-op fee said M%. So she submitted the offer, and a few minutes later or an hour later or what have you, the listing agent, who was also the broker, called her back and said, needed to let you know that the co-op fee was actually reduced to K% and is no longer under that broker because I've opened up my own brokerage firm, and the listing agreement or the listing is now with my new brokerage firm, and the seller agreed to a co-op fee of K%. Now, it had not changed in the MLS yet. So her question was, what should she expect to be paid in the co-op fee? Should it be the higher at the M% or the lower at the K%? And what I shared with her, and this isn't necessarily right, I don't know, but this is the way I thought about it, so I'm presenting it to you as something for you to think about as well. I told her it was whatever the seller agreed to. She couldn't demand that the seller pay her at M% if there was a new listing agreement in place in which the seller had negotiated, or it had been negotiated, that the co-op fee would be the lower at K%. So she couldn't go to the seller and make any demands, but perhaps she could go after the listing broker and demand the higher percent of M% because that's what was active in the MLS. Apparently it had just happened in terms of this change, and he just hadn't had an opportunity to switch it out in the MLS, withdraw the old listing under the old brokerage firm and put in the new listing. But the other thing that has to be thought about here is that even though that's what it said, that brokerage firm no longer owned the listing. The listing was no longer with that old brokerage firm. So even though it was still in the MLS, there was really nothing to do because you would have to go under that. You would have to file your complaint or start your fight or what have you, or place your demands with the brokerage firm that actually owned the listing, but they no longer owned it. It was under the new brokerage firm. It just so happened that it was the same licensee involved who was the listing agent, if you will, under both. So an interesting situation, something to really think about. But the takeaway here would be anytime you submit an offer, print out the listing printout, and so that on the day that you write the offer, so that you have what the terms are, and particularly what the co-op fee is to be. Now, you can attach it to the contract, but don't make it a part of the contract. Just attach it so everybody's clear. But if that listing is no longer owned by that brokerage firm, in my opinion, you can't force that brokerage firm to do anything, even though it's still in the MLS. So, hope that is something for you to think about, something for you to consider. And this has been your Real Estate Minute.